two are related. Merge columns. These concatenate, these join together two columns into one. Of course, it need to be two, it can be more than two. But what I'm going to join together is the year and the month in order to create something that's looking like a date. So if I merge these columns together, and I'm using transform, you'll notice, and it's asking me what's the new column going to become. So even though I'm using transform, it's still going to give me a new column. So I'm going to call this date combined, and it's saying, okay, how are you going to combine them? Well, I want a space between them, but equally, I could say I want something custom. So I could have the word and, for instance, in between. But I'm going to have a space. So let's combine those, and you'll see that the computer has created a new column, date combined, and it's removed the two existing columns. So it's not like it's taken a existing column, made that the combined, and then got rid of the others. It's actually just merged them all into one big column, and a new column at that. Now, if you wanted your existing columns to remain, what do? You don't use transform merge columns, you use add column merge columns. And you can see the formula slightly different. It's table.add column, where previously it was table.transform columns. But it leaves the existing columns in place. So we've combined these as text. And how do we actually get them into a date format? Well, you might think we'll be going over here into the date, but we don't have to. All we have to do is change the data type. So we can change the data type by here, next to the column, or we could do it in transform any column, or we could do it in home transform data type. So I'm just going to change this to date. Now notice the format that the computer currently has it in, 1995 Feb. It doesn't have it as Feb 1995. Will that make a difference? Let's change it to date to see what happens. And the answer is no. The computer has successfully worked out what it is. It's worked out that it's a year followed by a month in the English format. We will be looking at examples of how to do non-your language dates, or in my version, non-English date formats later. So now we've got this date combined, we can close and apply. So let's do that, and we get back to our Power BI desktop. And it's saying something's wrong with one or more of the fields, average price. And what's happened is that at some point, I've accidentally deleted the transformation into a number. So let's just turn that back now into a whole number. There we go, close and apply. So if you see this sort of thing, it means something's wrong with what you've just done. Please correct. So now we have changed absolutely nothing, because we have added a new field, date combined. Had we deleted the columns month and year, then a lot of the stuff that we have previously done will no longer work. So rather than doing that, I'm adding extra columns, and then if I want to completely go on to this new date combined, I can do that, and then delete these columns afterwards, once they're no longer used. So let's click on this visualization, and it's currently going by month. So instead, I'll drill down into the hierarchy to this version of month. So just as a reminder, we're currently sorting by month, but it's sorted in alphabetical order. Now, if I get rid of this month and drag in the date hierarchy month, you can now see that it is coming in the proper order that we'd expect, January, then February, then March, and so forth. Similarly, I could go through all the other examples that I've got, the region analysis, for instance, click on this, and change the axis that I've currently got for year and month. So delete those, drag in year and then month. Same functionality, except that when you drill down, you actually get January, February, March, instead of having it in different order. So I could go through the entirety of this dashboard, change all of my existing individual year and month references to the year and month in the date combined date hierarchy, and then I could edit the query again and delete year and month as separate, because they're no longer in use. Now, just to clarify, let's just do that just to show that it is actually possible to remove these columns. Date combined relies on the year and month, but I've just got rid of the year and month. If you were to try to do this in something like Excel, so here's an example in Excel. If I was to then put a formula, date combined, and just concatenate them together, and then delete the existing columns, we would get an error, because I've removed the data that I'm relying on. However, in Power BI, that's not the case. It's going through a series of steps, and it's at this step here, the insert merge columns, that it's done all the calculations. I no longer need to rely on these two columns to populate this. It's something that's done in the past as opposed to Excel, where it's something that's done in the present. So I can now remove them, and date combined will be unaffected. I'm not going to do that, however, because there are some elements in this visualization which actually rely still on the existing year and month. I think it may just be the year now. So I'd have to go through all of them, which is probably good practice to do, to be honest. Go through all of them and change them to date hierarchy, and only then, now nothing is dependent on this individual column, can I remove it. So, in this video, we had a look at the start of the transform or add column for the date. We've had a look at formatting and merging. We've already seen that we already are splitting the column previously. And you saw once we have something that looks like a date, you can just transform it into a date just by changing the data type. In the next video, we're going to have a look at how to extract data.